Now, it's almost hard to believe that just the other day, October 30th to be exact, was the 9-year anniversary of Disney purchasing Lucasfilm. Hard to believe that the sequel trilogy, which was announced to be in the works the same time the sale was, has since come and gone, and that those films ended up being more divisive than the prequel trilogy before it, though in a few different ways. Because whereas the fight over the prequels was never really anything more than a fight over Star Wars itself, or a sometimes, shall we say, rather heated debate over what is or isn't good Star Wars, what fits into the lore, the fight over the sequels, for better or worse, moved beyond the boundaries of the franchise and spilled into an argument that could be best summarized as one over entertainment's role and importance in society. Though for some fans, probably most of them, and they came from both sides, those who either liked or didn't like the sequels, it was still never anything more, or they never wanted it to be anything more, than a discussion over what is or isn't good Star Wars. Never anything more than a debate over things like the Holdo maneuver, or what would or wouldn't break a Luke Skywalker, and are these new characters being handled well or not. And you're certainly not a toxic fan if you didn't like any of those things and spoke out about them, as you're not some type of shill for having enjoyed everything about the sequels and wanting to say that too. Everyone can and does like different things for different reasons, and you should be just as free to express your disappointment or anger as you are your happiness or excitement. Especially when we keep in mind here that you're not just a fan, you're a customer. You do have to, more often than not, pay for Star Wars content, be it going to the movie theater or paying your monthly subscription cost to Disney Plus, or whatever else it might be, buying a book, a comic, an action figure. You are paying for Star Wars. And as a paying customer, you should or do have the right to tell them what you think, good or bad. That's how pretty much every business out there works. And the thing is, as fans, we all want Star Wars to be good. More often than not, criticism comes from a place of love and concern, or just wanting to see it be or do better. Which isn't to say that you can't go too far with that criticism, but usually, and I don't necessarily mean this as a defense of anyone who has gone too far, but the angrier you get about something, the more you do actually care. And I've compared all this before to being a fan of a sports team. When your team is losing, a lot of the time fans get pretty upset and will do everything to take to sports talk radio or social media to express that disappointment. And what fans will get upset about or be disappointed by, and just how angry they get, ranges from fan to fan. Some will see anything less than a championship as a failure, while others can and will appreciate a team that just puts in the effort even if they don't pull out too many wins. And yeah, I know I've talked about all these things before, but it leads into and begins to explain or answer a question I get asked from time to time, which is, why do I still love Star Wars, and why do I still support Disney Star Wars, as it's called? I mean, I've certainly done my fair share of criticizing Disney's handling of the franchise, not to mention Disney themselves. Heck, I will fully admit I'm not the biggest fan of Disney, or pretty much any mega corporation for that matter, which isn't to say I have a problem with a person or company making money, and a good deal of money, off providing a quality product or service others need or want. I just want to see that person or company hold themselves to not only ethical standards, but to never get lazy and take for granted the people giving them their money. Basically, I want the people actually making the product to care as much about it as I do, which I don't think is asking for too much considering they do indeed want me to pay for it. And I can't stand when I see something that has a large customer base or fan base, like Star Wars, being half-assed because the company who owns it knows many of those customers will buy it, even will defend it, regardless of quality. There are those fans out there who just automatically love all things Star Wars. And though I do understand the want and or desire to love all things Star Wars, I don't want to dislike aspects of it either. But as a customer, you have an obligation to hold the person or company trying to sell you something accountable for that product. To say when something, to put it bluntly, sucks so that they don't try to pass off garbage as gold and make you pay for it and make you happy you did. And I get it. Maybe you actually really like something that others don't. Again, we all like different things for different reasons. But if you like absolutely everything Star Wars, maybe it is time to step back and look at it with a little bit more of a critical eye. Which isn't to say here that I expect Disney or Lucasfilm to always get absolutely everything right to win every single game, because even the best sports teams in history will usually lose a game or two here and there. But when I feel like Disney takes a loss with Star Wars, I'm going to call it out. I'm going to do all I can to hold them accountable for what they're trying to sell us, as I'll give them credit when they win so that they know they're on the right track, at least in my opinion. That is just how I function, which I think is something a lot of people out there don't understand or get about me. I don't have an agenda when it comes to Star Wars, unless that agenda is wanting it to simply be good, but saying so when it's not. And as much as I love Star Wars, and I'll get more into the reasons why in a moment, it is something I can compartmentalize. It's not something I let destroy me outside of the sphere of Star Wars, if you will. I don't lie awake at night tossing and turning because of the evil Kathleen Kennedy still ruling Lucasfilm, or because of how Luke was handled in The Last Jedi. I didn't fall into a deep state of depression because of the sequel trilogy. In fact, though I'd rank myself right up there with the biggest Star Wars fans you'll ever find, I've never lost a moment of sleep over Star Wars, nor do I let it impact the person I am, at least not in a negative way. Because part of the reason why I do love Star Wars and why I continue to support it, maybe the main part, is because it is something that I can share with others, or that people can share together. People can love and enjoy together. It brings us together, even when we talk negatively about it. I have met so many great people, made so many friends, thanks to Star Wars. And thanks to what I do here on YouTube, of course, that it affords me the opportunity to meet and talk with so many fellow fans. I even consider many who completely disagree with me about something like the sequel trilogy as good friends. And I've told the story before about how at Star Wars Celebration 2019, I was in a 2-hour-long line and surrounded by people who loved the sequel trilogy. They were going on and on about it. And when I joined in the conversation and started voicing my own opinions and my dislikes or criticisms, they were nothing but respectful, that we had a great conversation that helped kill that 2-hour-long wait. And for me, and it's how I've always tried to run this channel, it's about respect. Fans who disagree need to have respect for each other, to realize they're not always going to agree, and that, again, when fans do criticize it, when they criticize Star Wars, they're not trying to be toxic, they're not trying to ruin your enjoyment of it. Instead, they're actually still on your side. They're trying to make sure Disney continues to respect the property, to not use it as a money printing press, but rather to give us fans, all fans, something we'll be happy to pay for, something we can all rally around, something that brings us together. And the thing is, I do not root for Disney, I root for Star Wars itself and those who actually create it, as well as the fans of it. The same way I don't root for the ownership of my favorite sports teams, I root for the idea of the team itself, the fan base, and the players. And in both cases, ownership is just sort of this necessary evil, or one that's just going to come about when something is so popular and makes boatloads of money. Someone, for better or worse, is going to get rich when something gets as big as Star Wars does. And the sad reality, especially if you are someone who really does not like what has become known as Disney Star Wars, is that even if it suddenly falls apart, even if it stops being profitable, or people stop watching or buying the products, there is no way Disney will ever sell Star Wars. It belongs to them forevermore. There's just no chance they'd sell it to someone else who might revive it and turn it into something that could rival anything and everything they're putting out. They'd rather it be dead than become competition. Though, maybe a little ironically, I do think the best thing for Disney, who owns so much of entertainment now, and for Star Wars itself, is competition. And even though I want to see Star Wars survive and thrive for as long as I live and beyond, I'd also like to see other stories or properties rise as well. To see a creativity revolution, if you will, one that I hope to be a part of in some small way, shape, or form, as I try to focus more on creativity with this channel and less on reaction. Because in case you haven't noticed, and you probably have, YouTube is becoming more and more of a reactionary place and less of a creative one. It's becoming a place where people tell you their thoughts and opinions on any and every topic you can imagine, with politics, entertainment, sports being three of the big ones. And don't get me wrong, that's certainly fine. If people don't like it, they wouldn't watch it, and it wouldn't continue to grow. So the fact that it does continue to grow means people are enjoying it. And though I do plan on continuing to tell you my thoughts on Star Wars and other similar things, and reacting to or reporting on Star Wars news or other ebbs and flows of the franchise, and always trying to be as honest as I can with you, be it good or bad, I also do want to get much more creative with my content, to do more Star Wars stories and other similar things, as well as eventually branching out to my own original stories one day, and hopefully one day relatively soon. And so to everyone who watches my videos, be you someone who has been with me for years, months, or even if this is your very first video of mine that you've ever watched, thank you, and let's keep talking some Star Wars.